Why use Claude when ChatGPT exists, right? It may seem that Claude is inferior to ChatGPT in every way, but that's only if you don't know how to use it. But if you do, for many tasks, Claude can be much better, more accurate, and more precise than even the newest GPT-o1. And in this video, I'll teach you everything you need to know to use Claude to its full potential. I will tell you what it can do, how to prompt for it, and how you can use it right now. Stick with me for the next 20 minutes, and I will turn you into Claude Pro. Claude, just like other AIs, has a free and paid option. Generally, the free plan is more than enough for an average person. All the important features are there, the amount of tokens is reasonably big, and the model gets regular updates. For $20 and a Pro subscription, you get slightly more tokens, one extra projects feature, more models to choose from, and early access to new features. This is pretty much the creme de la creme of Claude subscriptions. That said, you might not want to pay anyway. Not all models you get access to with a Pro subscription are better than the default one, and the projects feature is quite debatable in terms of usefulness. Pay only if you need to make a lot of requests daily. If you can optimize your workflow and stay within the free limit, I'd stick with that instead. I really like Claude's interface. It's quite simplistic and well structured. The prompting window is in the middle of the screen. Below the input field, there is text indicating the model I'm using, and next to it is the style selector. There are 4 pre-made styles to choose from: normal, concise, explanatory, and formal. I can always create my own style. To do this, I just click create and edit styles. Then I upload a piece of my own writing for Claude to train itself, where I can simply describe the writing style. It'd be the same kind of information I put in custom instructions in ChatGPT, general details about the writing. Though personally, I would recommend creating a big TXT file with all your writing and uploading that. This way, Claude will learn your writing patterns and specifics, and the results will look better than using only a style description. In the same prompting window, there are also 2 buttons for uploading files, one for images and another for all other file types. Below that, there are a few prompt suggestions to try. Oh, and on the left, there is a list of all chats. If I click view all, I can delete the ones I want in batches. ChatGPT can't delete chats in batches, by the way. If you've never used Claude, you might think it's just another ChatGPT clone, but in reality, Claude has a completely different philosophy, and the similarities between it and ChatGPT end at core features and the chatbot style interaction. ChatGPT is a do-it-all tool, while Claude focuses more on doing less, but doing it better. Claude is a so-called constitutional AI, which means it prioritizes ethical behavior. Claude's training emphasizes safety and reducing harm, prioritizing unbiased responses that don't mislead people. Claude tends to give more conversational and contextually sensitive responses, aiming for a collaborative, almost assistant-like dynamic. Sometimes Claude is better at generating longer, more nuanced responses with deep reasoning when needed. Yep, even in its free version. No need to pay for GPT-o1 for that deep reasoning. Claude also handles more extensive context windows, making it really effective for processing and generating content based on large data inputs. It always tries to provide the most factual response that won't hurt feelings or be biased in any way. All this makes prompting a different experience. One thing Claude can do is create agents. No custom GPTs, no gems, none of that. So if you need more complex workflows or want to build AI agents tailored to your needs, Lizer Agent Studio has you covered. And they are sponsoring this video. Building an AI agent is super easy. With Lizer's no-code interface, I can create AI agents in minutes. Just click New Agent, give it a name, choose which LLM to use, and drop in a prompt. Don't forget to ask AI to improve your prompt. You will get way better results. From there, it's time to customize your agent, pick which features you want it to have, and add tools that will give it more powers. Developers can use the Agent API to create highly tailored agents that fit unique workflows. As for the tools it has, Lizer connects with tons of platforms like GitHub, Slack, Gmail, Notion, Google Calendar, YouTube, and more. I can even add my own database or link external data sources like Quadrant and Weaviate for extra precision. Lizer has built-in safeguards to keep your agents responsible and compliant, promoting ethical AI use. Once you build a custom agent, you can publish it as an app on the market marketplace for others to use it too. Also, enterprises can host agents on their private cloud, so they have full control over data security. Lizer offers you a tutorial on the platform to help you build agents, and there is documentation too for developers to get started. Check out Lizer Agent Studio by clicking the link in the description. There aren't many settings that you can tweak, but I strongly recommend clicking on your profile, go into settings, and updating your profile. Here you can change the name the Claude will refer to you by and provide a description of yourself. This description is similar to ChatGPT's custom instructions, but slightly different. Instead of explaining how to complete tasks, you describe what you like to do and how you work. This essentially tailors Claude's internal pipeline to better suit your workflow and needs. However, a note here mentions that Claude may or may not use this information, but it's always better to fill everything in. In my personal preferences, I describe a communication style that's concise, clear, and uses bullet points for readability. I prefer a structured, step-by-step problem-solving approach with actionable recommendations and highlighted potential challenges. Visual aids like charts or graphs are ideal, along with well-organized content using headings. My interaction style is collaborative, avoids overly technical language unless requested, and focuses on accessible, tailored suggestions with pros and cons for decision-making. Next, scroll down and make sure you've enabled Enable Artifacts. This toggle allows Claude to generate content like code snippets, text documents, or website designs. When needed, Claude will create an artifact that appears in a dedicated window alongside the conversation. Also, ensure you've toggled on Enable CSV Chat Suggestions. With this enabled, Claude will suggest responses when you upload CSV files to your conversation. This is crucial for data analysis later, since it's one of Claude's staple features. As for the prompt suggestions, turn them on if you are a complete newbie or if you stop watching our video now and decide to learn on your own. Though I still recommend watching our guide, just like our guide for ChatGPT or Gemini, it's full of useful tips. Once this is done, head over to Feature Preview. There are only two features here so far. The first is Analysis Tool, which allows Claude to write and run code to process data, conduct analysis, and create data visualizations in real time, similar to what ChatGPT can do. The second is Latex Rendering, which lets Claude correctly display formulas and math equations, something Gemini, for example, struggles with. Turn both on for the full Claude experience. Claude is just one of many tools we reviewed. For our personal, handwritten reviews of AI tools, be sure to check out our website, aimaster.me. It's full of cool tools, and we try to test and add new ones as often as possible. The link is in the description. Claude is highly context sensitive, meaning it often weighs the nuances of a user's input heavily. Vague prompts might result in more general responses, while detailed prompts can unlock more complex reasoning. With tools like ChatGPT, you'll get roughly identical responses regardless of how vague your prompt is, with differences only in minor details. With ChatGPT, you can make it answer sensitive questions, whereas Claude will decline to answer certain questions or provide very cautious responses due to its stronger emphasis on avoiding harmful outputs. There's no need to try unusual prompting structures or commands. They won't work. The general rule of thumb is to be conversational and detail-oriented. The first tip has to do with formatting prompts. Use XML text to separate instructions from context. As mentioned, Claude focuses on delivering accurate results, so your prompts need to clearly specify what you want Claude to work with. At the beginning of your text, add an opening tag, like a text, and at the end of your text, add a closing tag. Simple. This small change in formatting ensures Claude doesn't interpret parts of your text as part of your prompt. And by the way, this trick also works for ChatGPT. It's just a matter of formatting. Claude models are fine-tuned to pay special attention to the structure created by XML tags, so they won't respond to random indicators like GPT sometimes does. These tags help separate instructions, examples, questions, context, and input data as needed. You can use any names for the tags There are no specific or exclusive requirements. Just make sure to include proper opening and closing brackets with slashes, and it will work fine. For better results, it's sometimes helpful to guide Claude in formatting the output to your preference. This is done slightly differently here. Instead of dividing the prompt into multiple sections or describing what's an example, you can do it all in one prompt. All you need is the formatting trick from the last tip. This tip essentially demonstrates two methods in one. Here's how my prompt looks like. First, I ask Claude to summarize the key points from the article enclosed within the text tags and present the main conclusions as a 4-bullet list. Then, I provide an example of how I want the bullet points structured. After that, I use the tags and paste the long text. Since the prompt is quite massive, instead of appearing in the input window, Claude shows it as an uploaded text file. Don't be alarmed, it's just how it works sometimes. As you'll see from the response, it is formatted properly and contains all the information I need. But you don't always have to be so specific about formatting. Generally, it's better to be direct, concise, and as specific as possible, especially when working with files. I will upload a PDF file with some text in it and ask Claude to extract the key points from the presentation. The task is simple and shows that prompts can be quite simple as long as you clearly explain what you want. This advice of being direct and concise works for all AIs because for AI, it's all about predicting the next word. It's pretty much guessing all the time, and you want to minimize the guessing game as much as possible. So try to make your prompts more detailed with clear instructions what you want to get. Claude, like other AIs, was trained on vast amounts of data, but figuring out which data to use can sometimes be challenging. You've probably seen cases when most of the response is factual and accurate, but then, bam, a false fact appears. For instance, I've had ChatGPT invent new movies when I asked for recommendations. While Claude is much better at avoiding such errors, you can never be too cautious. My go-to method for improving responses is assigning Claude a role. This sets clear context and expectations for the response. For example, assigning roles like helpful teacher or creative writer adjusts Claude's tone, approach, and level of detail, making responses more relevant and aligned with what you're looking for. Another trick for better responses is explaining to Claude how to approach the task. I've said it many times in other AI guides. AIs don't truly understand what you want. They just predict responses. Their chain of thought, if you can call it that, will always differ from human thinking. Here's what you can do. Instruct Claude to first think through the problem and then provide the answer. For example, in my prompt, I gave a list of questions I needed answers to, specified the response format, and asked Claude to output the process using two separate XML tags, one for thinking and another for answer. In the thinking part, you see how Claude arrived at the response in the answer section. This approach lets you peek into Claude's reasoning and tweak the process if necessary. It's always a good idea to ask AIs to refine your prompts. While ChatGPT can do this with a single small prompt, in Claude, thanks to its different operation style, a prompt tends to get proportionally larger. Technically, you could use the same method with ChatGPT, but it works especially well with Claude. I won't read the entire prompt aloud, but we'll summarize it for you. In this prompt, I asked Claude to create a clear and detailed task prompt, incorporating context, role-playing, or clarifications as needed. The resulting prompt should be formatted in the code block and include a brief explanation of its structure and reasoning. After feeding this instruction to Claude, I provide the next prompt. Here's the prompt to review and rewrite. Why hasn't the sun gone out yet? It's a simple prompt, really. Claude then uses its artifacts feature to generate an improved version of the prompt. You can see it here in this window. The new prompt is more detailed and concise, and Claude also explains why it's better than the original. This process is a fantastic way to learn prompt engineering and improve your skills. This tip is a logical continuation of being descriptive and direct, but Claude's artifacts take it to the next level. Examples are just as important for Claude as they are for ChatGPT. They show how the final result should look, and sometimes the results can be incredibly good. Let's say I have an image of a calendar, a simple PNG image, and I want a custom calendar created for me with tasks. I don't want it in plain text, I want visuals. Here's what I do. I ask Claude to create a calendar with tasks so I can see it with my own eyes. Then I paste a long list of tasks for each day of the month, separating each task with custom tags, all always use tags. Next, I add tags for example, referring to the uploaded image as an example, and then close the tags. Since we're aiming for more, I ask for special features to make task management convenient. And look at the result. Here is the calendar with tasks. I can drag and drop tasks from one day to another, edit them, or add new ones. It's like a full-blown app inside Claude. I can copy its code or download it as a file. That's amazing. Without an example, we'd likely just get a plain list of tasks. So if possible, always provide an example for each task. The next tip, if I'm being honest, will not be triggered often. But if you want the most factual answers, you don't want to lock Claude in the corner. You must let it not know things. It's hard to believe that AI may not know something, but adding a short phrase at the end of the prompt does make a difference. Again, you won't be able to trigger it often, but Claude will know that can fail in responding and that you would be okay with it. AI rebellion is a verdict, guys. If your task is complex and you think Claude can mess up, it's always best to separate it into smaller tasks. Can all be one prompt, but tasks must be specified separately. For example, I will upload a file first, and then in my prompt, ask Claude to follow these steps, write a summary, create a bullet list, and rewrite the document. Given such step-by-step instructions practically forces Claude to approach them one by one. Otherwise, there is a chance it would have done all at the same time. Another way to make complex tasks more manageable is with prompt chaining. Prompt chaining is like giving step-by-step instructions to an AI instead of dumping everything at once. Think of it like assembling furniture. You don't try to build a whole thing from a single picture. You follow the steps in order, and each one builds on the last. If you tell Claude to analyze a document in one step and then ask for a summary in the next, it actually keeps track of the context, so the results come out more coherent and logical. Plus, Claude is great at handling tasks that need a layered approach, like analyzing, summarizing, and then formatting, all in sequence. So first, I tell Claude to analyze the document. Then in the second prompt, I ask it for bullet points. After that is done, I ask Claude for a summary of these bullet points. The example I'm showing you is quite simplistic and direct, so even without chaining, it would probably give a reasonably good result. But with bigger, more complex tasks, the difference in the quality of responses would be much greater. If you remember, I mentioned that Claude can do data analysis, and honestly, I prefer Claude over ChatGPT, at least because of its visualizations. In ChatGPT, it was always a problem to get consistently good-looking graphs and charts. With Claude, it's easy. I just upload a file and ask Claude to give me a chart out of it. That's it. Those are all the instructions I give. And Claude, being a smart tool, creates perfectly readable and useful charts. It also provides some highlights about the data and trends it found, which is really useful. And the charts are interactive. They're not just images. So yeah, I would pick Claude over ChatGPT for data analysis every time. Working with files is definitely one of Claude's strengths, and you should use it. It can handle images, PDFs, text documents. The only limitation is size. No file can exceed 30 megabytes, and you can upload up to 20 files. That's a lot of information to manage, to be honest. Imagine batch analyzing 20 data files or rewriting 20 long documents at once. Claude is perfect for such large-scale operations. Prompting for working with files can be either simplistic and direct for simple responses or detailed and specific for more advanced answers. Sadly, Claude can do real-time image analysis like ChatGPT's mobile app can, but it does recognize objects and photos, any text in documents, or graphs just fine. And as a little throwback to the beginning of this video, remember the styles. They are there for a reason. You can obviously describe a style in every prompt, give references to writers, or write in styles, or pick one of 4 pre-made ones. Claude was specifically trained on these 4 styles, so the results will be better than if you create your own style. Create a style if you need something written in your own voice. Otherwise, try to use one of the 4 existing ones. Aside from the usual write-in tasks, I believe Claude can be incredibly effective for things like industry analysis. As we've seen, analyzing large amounts of data is something Claude excels at. Businesses and entrepreneurs can really benefit from its insights. Claude can analyze market size, identify key players, and break down their competitive positions, given a comprehensive snapshot of the current market situation. For example, in the e-commerce niche, Claude can help entrepreneurs uncover trends like the rise rise of AI personalization or shifts toward mobile shopping, and see how these dynamics create new opportunities. In my testing, Claude managed to identify barriers to entry, helping new players anticipate challenges like capital requirements or trust building with consumers, and suggested how niche strategies or new technologies could bridge these gaps. By integrating visual aids like line grabs and clear section reporting, Claude transforms raw data into an accessible, actionable format. For entrepreneurs, this means faster, smarter decision-making that's firmly grounded in a nuanced understanding of the industry landscape. Another scenario where Claude can be helpful is pricing research. Can dig through historical pricing data, figure out how price changes affect subscriptions, and even calculate price elasticity to show whether customers are sensitive to price changes. Basically, it can help you zero in on the perfect price to boost revenue and keep people sticking around. It can also break down what your competitors are doing. Claude can pull data and pricing strategies from big names like Peloton and Strava, analyze their promotions, bundles, and free trials, and tell you where you can step up your game. Plus, it's great at organizing everything into clear, actionable insights with visuals like graphs and charts, making all the data easy to understand and act on. Pause the video to check out how it did all that for me. For small businesses, Claude can be a great tool for keyword research, can brainstorm keyword ideas around major topics and subtopics, then provide data on search volume, competition, and all that good stuff, and filter out all the fluff and lock in on the 10 to 15 keywords that will give you the best bang for your buck. It's great at spotting long-tail keywords too, those super specific phrases that might not have crazy high search volume but can bring in highly targeted traffic. On top of that, Claude can even suggest the type of content you should create to rank for those keywords. The quality of the results, of course, depends on your prompts. As you can see, my prompt is huge. Be detailed and descriptive, and Claude won't let you down. And business plans, Claude can do that too. But not like ChatGPT does, where it's just text. Claude can help you outline all the key sections of a solid plan: executive summary, market analysis, product details, marketing strategy, and even financial projections. Can dive into market analysis, research trends, competitors, and target demographics, and highlight how your business's specifics make you stand out. For financials, can calculate and create projections showing revenue and expense breakdowns in clear charts like a bar graph or monthly trends to keep things investor ready. Claude can also be a really savvy financial assistant, especially for tackling questions like saving for an emergency fund while paying off debt. Can analyze your financial details, income, expenses, debt, and savings, break it all down. Can even create a pie chart showing how your income is currently divided, helping you visualize your finances and plan better. For new entrepreneurs, Claude can be incredibly useful as a business idea improver. Can validate market opportunities by analyzing demand trends and pinpointing the primary target audience, highlight a clear, unique value proposition, flag key risks and challenges. Claude doesn't just analyze, it builds a roadmap from conducting market research to launching pilots and scaling operations, making it easy for entrepreneurs to take actionable steps. This is a really niche use case, but when you're starting a business, every input counts. Claude isn't your typical AI. On one hand, it does all the same things we're used to, but on the other hand, it does them differently, with a focus not on the speed of the results, but on their quality. And working with it directly reflects this principle. With Claude, you stop being an AI newbie and become an AI master. It's a tool you have to master, because if you do, it will make you a superstar. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you learned something new today. See you in the next one.